Hello, everyone, and welcome. This is the Lower Back Pain podcast that actually helps. My name is Paul, and I'm a personal trainer and strength coach based here in Carnford, Ireland. What we're aiming for here? This podcast is going to be a space where we can discuss lower back pain in a clear, practical way. My aim is to offer insights and strategies that generally will help. I work with clients both here in person and online who often have a history with back pain. Many of them want to get back to training, perhaps to lose some weight, or prepare for specific events like high rocks or GA, but they're held back by stiffness, flare-ups, or simply the worry of doing more damage. Here we'll explore what's actually going on, why back pain is such a common and often confusing issue, and most importantly, what steps we can take to move forward with confidence. I want this to feel like a calm, focused conversation, much like we might have if you were a client in my gym or sitting over a cup of coffee. My own experience with back pain. To begin, I want to share a bit of my own story as it's quite central to why I'm doing this podcast. As a strength coach, you might expect me to be immune, but that certainly wasn't the case. Back in 2016, I had a significant back injury. I was doing barbell bent over rows, perhaps pushing a bit too hard, focused on the numbers, and then quite suddenly, that sharp, undeniable feeling of something going wrong. The diagnosis was 3 bulging discs. I remember the next morning trying to get out of bed and struggling to straighten up. I initially thought it might just ease off, but it worsened. This led to a period where I stopped training. I felt myself losing strength, gaining a little weight, and becoming quite stiff. And the longer this went on, the more the fear crept in. The fear of doing anything that might make it worse. Does that sound familiar at all? Eventually, I realised that the very thing I was avoiding, movement, was actually what I needed. But it couldn't just be any movement, not intense random workouts. I needed a structured, intelligent plan, one that respected the injury but didn't prevent progress. That experience really shaped my entire approach to coaching. It taught me that prolonged rest isn't the answer, and that most people are far more capable of recovery than they might believe, provided they have the right guidance. Understanding back pain, why it's so common and misunderstood. So why is back pain so prevalent? And why does there seem to be so much conflicting advice out there? It can be quite overwhelming. Our backs are complex structures involving a delicate interplay of muscles, bones, nerves, and discs. When something goes amiss, it can affect the entire system. What's often overlooked is that it's not just about the physical mechanics. Factors like stress, sleep quality, nutrition, and even our mindset approach to pain can significantly influence how we experience it. Much of the common advice tends to be very narrow, focusing on one aspect, when in reality it's usually a combination of elements at play. Because it's because it's so common, it's often oversimplified or not given the in-depth attention it truly requires. I've seen this pattern with many clients, from individuals in their 30s and 40s simply wanting to get back in shape, to GAA players who experience recurring injuries. There's a lot of uncertainty. Some are told to avoid lifting forever. Others are vaguely advised to strengthen their core. This often leads to a cycle of doing too much, experiencing a flare-up, and then completely backing off again. This podcast aims to provide a clearer path. Who is this podcast for? So who am I hoping to connect with through this podcast? If you are a man or woman, likely in your 30s, 40s, or 50s, and you have a history of lower back pain, then this is for you. Perhaps you've had recurring flare-ups, or you just feel a persistent stiffness that makes you hesitant to train as you would like. You probably want to move more comfortably and feel strong again. Maybe you're aiming to reduce some belly fat, or you have a specific goal, like a high rocks event, or returning to play your sport, without the constant worry about your back. You want to train with confidence, without the fear of causing further damage. If this resonates with you, I believe you'll find this podcast valuable. This podcast is for real people living real lives. Perhaps you're juggling a full-time job and family commitments, navigating existing injuries, and the last thing you need is overly complex advice or a high-intensity approach that doesn't fit your life. You simply want to move better, feel stronger, and perhaps regain some core stability. My goal is to help you achieve that safely and effectively. My 5-pillar system, a structured approach. To help you achieve these goals, I've developed what I call my 5-pillar system. This isn't a quick fix, but a comprehensive framework that I found leads to sustainable, positive changes. It addresses the various interconnected factors contributing to back pain. We will explore each of these in more detail in future episodes, but here's an overview. Training. This pillar focuses on smart strength training. It's about rebuilding confidence in movement, not avoiding it. We focus on appropriate exercises, finding effective variations, and gradually building your body's capacity without causing flare-ups. This is about building a resilient foundation. Nutrition. What we eat plays a significant role in inflammation and recovery. There's often a link between back pain and excess body fat due to inflammatory processes. So if your diet includes a lot of sugar, processed foods, or excessive alcohol, it does matter. We'll discuss anti-inflammatory eating, how to fuel your body for recovery, and sustainable strategies for fat loss. Supplements. While there are no magic pills, certain supplements can generally support joint health, reduce inflammation, and aid recovery. I'll provide clear guidance on what might be beneficial and what might be less effective. Emotional and stress management. This is a crucial, often overlooked aspect. Stress, inadequate sleep, and the fear of movement itself can amplify pain. We'll explore strategies to manage stress, understand the nervous system's role in pain, and help calm both your body and mind. Stretching and mobility. This isn't about endless generic stretching, it's about targeted mobility work. We'll look at improving flexibility and range of motion in areas like the hips, hamstrings, glutes, and the thoracic spine, areas that often contribute to lower back issues. I'll share practical routines that can be done in under 10 minutes. Together, these 5 pillars provide a holistic structure to train intelligently, feel better, and build a body that is strong, lean, and resilient, even after an injury. I want to reinforce this point very clearly. You are not broken. A history of lower back pain or even disc issues does not mean your body is permanently damaged or that you are destined for a lifetime of discomfort. That is simply not true. What it generally means is that your body needs a more intelligent plan. You've likely been doing your best with the information you had, but perhaps that information was incomplete or not quite right for your specific situation. You don't need to train like you're 25 again, but you also don't need to wait for your back to settle. The path forward is there, and I aim to help you navigate it. So that concludes our first episode. Thank you for listening. In the next episode, we will dive deeper into the training pillars. We'll discuss 5 common mistakes that often worsen back pain, and crucially, what you can do instead. This will include common errors in form, the pitfalls of overtraining, and one specific mistake I frequently observe in GA players during the off-season. I believe you'll find it very practical. If you find this helpful, please consider following the podcast and perhaps share it with a friend. And perhaps share it with someone you know who might be struggling with their back. And if you're looking for a more personalized approach, a plan built specifically for your body and your history, please feel free to reach out to me. I offer one-to-one online coaching typically for 6 or 12 weeks, where we develop a completely tailored strategy. Alternatively, I also offer online group coaching for those who prefer a structured environment with community support. You can find me on Instagram at Templetown Strength and Conditioning or through my website. For now, that's all from me. Move well, train smart, and I'll speak to you in the next episode.